Okay, is this recording?
We're in the clear, folks. We are in the clear. Woo! So, today I am bringing you yet another college video because college. No, it just kind of dawned on me that in like 2 months I will never be in college again. And that's a weird concept because like if I were to go back to school, I'd be in school, not college, you know? I'll be a college student for 2 more months, and so I gotta make the most out of it. Pump out some content. Just a little backstory. I'm Anne. I'm in my last semester at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. I am going to give you all a backstory on why I chose to go to the U. And now in order to do this, we're going to have to take a long walk down memory lane, which is my senior year of high school. Without further ado, not living for that. Have fun editing this video, Anne. So in total, I applied for how many schools? I only applied for 4 colleges, which one of my friends applied for like 16. Don't know where she got the time, the motivation, the money. Props to her, I could never have done that. So the 5 options were St. Thomas, St. Ben's, Marquette, Columbia College, and U of M. All of them in Minnesota except for Marquette in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Columbia in Chicago, Illinois. My situation, I guess, is probably typical of most. I couldn't afford to go out of state, so I didn't even bother looking, touring. I just knew out-of-state tuition was out of the budget. It's honestly ridiculous, and I don't know how people can afford that. It's like triple in-state tuition. I know private schools are different. So that kind of made my college search a lot easier. Instead of looking at the entire United States, I was like, okay, these are the schools I can afford to go to. This is how I narrowed my schools down. So Marquette was my #1 school. Like, I toured it my junior year of college, and I was like, yep, this is it. This is where I'm going. That was literally my motivation to get good grades, like do well, because I wanted scholarships to go there. They had a really good journalism program, and that's what I wanted to study. I still kept my options open. My sister went to St. Ben's, which is in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and my brother went to St. John's, which is the brother school of St. Ben's. And I love that college. A part of me, like, deep down's like, but I wouldn't have thrived there. It was like a high school part 2 for me. The majority of my graduating class were going there. And that's not the only reason I didn't want to go there. I needed to be in a city. I needed more stimulation, but still I have so much love for that school. It just would not have been a good fit for me. But I still applied just for, you know, kicks and giggles. And then St. Thomas is in St. Paul. It's another high school part 2. A lot of my graduating class went there, but I actually considered St. Thomas. They had a good journalism program. I loved the campus, everything, but I just needed something bigger. I liked how I was in a city, but I just needed a bigger student body. I needed a change, and I kind of needed to like branch out and try a bigger school. Then Columbia, Chicago. I don't mean to laugh because I'm sure it's like a great program. I didn't like do too much research in it. It's not, what is the word that I'm looking for? It's not like a trade school for journalism, but it's a 4-year bachelor degree, but it's just very, very razor focused in journalism. And so I don't think I would have gotten like the full college experience. Like, they didn't have sports, they didn't have anything. It was in the middle of Chicago. It just felt like not an authentic college experience. I didn't even apply because I was like, you know what, it would not have been a good fit. I just knew from growing up in Minnesota my entire life that like the U was a good school. It just has a reputable name, and I knew if I went there, I would be really proud to say I went there. Not just because I grew up in Minnesota, but pretty much because I grew up in Minnesota. After when I visited there, I kind of went into a slump because it's like, oh my gosh, I will never get in, because I just had the presumption that it's like a super competitive school to get into. I would never get in, yada yada yada, imposter syndrome type thing. Still, a part of me thought, you know, I might not get in, so I need to keep other options. And so that fall, my senior year, I toured Marquette again, and then this time something about it just like didn't sit right. Maybe because I realized, oh, I could potentially be going here in like 9 months or a year. When you tour a place, you get a very good vibe of whether or not you think it'll be a good fit. And when I was there the second time, something just felt off. And we met with like a academic advisor or an admissions counselor, and they basically told me, yeah, we don't really give financial aid, so this is how much you'd have to pay a year for tuition, and I think it was near $45,000. Kind of two criteria that I used to narrow down my schools and pick which school I wanted to go to was, one, the quality of education. I wanted to go somewhere that I knew would look good on a resume. Obviously, that's not everything. You can go to any school and make of it what you want, but for me, I just wanted like a good, rigorous academic education. And then two, money. Obviously, that's a big one because where I could or couldn't go was dictated on how much tuition was. After that visit, Marquette was knocked off the list. Columbia was knocked off the list. So it was St. Thomas, St. Ben's, UMN. I knew I didn't want to go to St. Ben's, but it was just like kind of like a backup of a backup. And then I got my St. Thomas acceptance letter, and I was just like, eh. So I kind of had all my eggs in UMN basket at this point. I got accepted. I got my acceptance letter, or like I went online to my online application, and I was sitting in my ecology class, and I saw that, congrats, you had been accepted, blah, blah, blah. I think it was March, because it was like pretty late. Maybe that's typical. This is so long ago that I'm trying to like dig up the timeline. So I'm sorry if this doesn't exactly seem, you know, cute. And right when I saw that I got accepted, I just was like, yep, this is it. This is where I'm going. Like I didn't even need to think about it. That's how sure I was that this is where I wanted to go. And just a little FYI, I'll kind of give like my background of my grades and ACT scores. I was a good student in high school. Like I definitely tried really hard and I did not slack at all, but school didn't come easy to me, you know. It's like I had to really put in the work. And so I think I ended high school with like a 3.6 GPA. I could be off. I think it was 3.6, maybe like a 3.5. My ACT score was a 25. So I would say like pretty good average grades, you know, nothing like, ooh, Harvard bound, hashtag Elle Woods, but it did the job. So the things about the U that just, aside from just like feeling right, it sounds like I'm talking about a relationship, a long-term 4-year relationship. One, that it just was like a very good accredited academic school. And even when I'm out of state and like traveling and people ask like, oh, where do you go? Like I confidently say, oh, I go to the U of M or University of Minnesota, because apparently Michigan also goes by U of M. So, Another one was the alumni connections. The U's massive, like it's a big school. So I just knew that in the future employers, future coworkers and everything, you would just meet people with similar background educations, and that's appealing to me because that's how you connect and network and everything, yada yada yada. I really wanted to be in a big city because coming into college, and I still am, I wanted to study broadcast journalism, just journalism. And kind of in order to break into that market, a lot of the big media markets are in bigger cities, and Minneapolis is a pretty decent media market. So I knew that if I went to school there, I would have more access to those resources, which was true because I got an internship at a really good TV news station. The U was close to home, but I knew that I would still be getting that college experience because I was living on campus, and you make of it what you want. Like you can come home every night, or you can only come home at holidays, no matter how close you are. I love being around family. I get mad FOMO when there's like family events and I'm not there. So I wanted it to be an option to come home kind of whenever I wanted to. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but I drink that. Not to be cocky, but my professor said this, one of the best journalism programs in the US. But it's a really good journalism program. A lot of alumni work for like the New York Times, NBC, ABC, National News, just like they know their ish in the journalism school. Even today, some of my professors, I'm just like, how are you this smart? And just like, how do you have this rich of a background in journalism? That kind of sums up why I chose the U of M. For me, the college search process was not as stressful as people kind of made it out to be. For me, it wasn't like a one and done decision. I knew that if I went somewhere and I didn't like it, it was always an option to leave. I mean, obviously that's not ideal, but it's kind of the reality of being a college student nowadays. Like I said before, I'm graduating in December, so expect some more college content until then. As always, until next time, peace. Whoo! Good timing, my camera's about to die.
I need to love myself. I need to